ground. Congressman James Clyburn is a Democrat from South Carolina and the assistant Democratic leader, and joins me now. Sir, it's great to have you here. And as we have been talking about, we had Senator Boxer on at the top of the hour talking about the fact that this is a day when we're seeing Senator Olympia Snowe, Republican of Maine, saying that she's going to be retiring and not rerunning because of Congress and the rancor, the partisan gridlock that takes place in D.C. modern day. But any hope that the two parties can ever get back to governing, and could it be with the president's jobs bill?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think so. I really hate to see Olympia Snowe leave. She was a joy to work with on the Recovery Act. We worked quite a bit together. And on the education part of the Affordable Care Act, we worked on that together. So she is a person that is really a joy to sit down and compromise with. The fact of the matter is, I find it interesting that with everything in life, we know that we ought to sit down and try to find common ground. And this whole notion that cannot be any compromise, and for a party to say the word should never be used. The fact of the matter is, that's what this country was built upon. This country was built upon compromises. Our Constitution was written based upon compromises. You cannot have good, solid legislation unless you compromise. There's nothing bad about that word. I'm enjoying 50 years of marriage because I learned to compromise.
That's actually a good place to start from right there. You can talk about 50 years of marriage. If that works there, you can apply that everywhere else in your life, especially
Absolutely.
in the halls of Congress. Earlier this month, though, the RNC sent out something, sir, called a pundit prep document. And its purpose, quote, was to mitigate any damage that may be occurring from the improved economy. And it reads, quote, the three best ways to define the Barack Obama economy: the national debt, which is skyrocketing, the unemployment, which is north of 8%, and gas prices. Just to point out, the markets yesterday closing, the Dow above 13,000, that psychological
Absolutely.
mark we haven't seen in years. Do you believe Republicans are actually rooting, though, for the economy to fail so that they have something to talk about? I mean, for Americans to be in hardship, they can win back the White House.
It seems that way, and that's a shame. I do believe that there are enough differences that exist between us and them for us to point that out to the American people and not have to worry about forcing people to stay unemployed, forcing unemployed people out of their weekly or monthly income, unemployment insurance, and doing things that should mitigate the damage that people are feeling in their everyday lives. We do not see the world the same way. The Republicans' approach to governance is different from the Democrats. We ought to be out there laying out our vision for the future and running upon that, not rooting for there to be failure, for the economy to collapse, for jobs not to be created. I just believe that we can find a way to differ without having people suffer.
Congressman, from 2006 through 2008, Democrats, they blamed President Bush when the gas prices soared in this country. Are you worried that President Obama is going to be hurt if gas continues to go up? And I'm talking about $5 or more this summer. Sure. Because as we stand right now, leading into March, we have never seen gas higher at this time of year. So if gas prices are this bad leading into the summer driving season, isn't that just going to be some talking points and something that the president really needs to address?
Oh, no question about that. And I do worry about that more than a little bit. Not just because of what it might do to the president's re-election, but what it will do to the rural communities that I represent, what it will do to the farmers to have to pay that higher gas tax. That bothers me a whole lot. But I know that we live in a soundbite world, and I do know a 30-second soundbite on the high gas prices could, in fact, cause real damage to the president's re-election chances, aside from what it will do to my constituents.
But, sir, like decorating for Christmas right after Thanksgiving, talking about high gas prices is an annual event in this country right now. Why can't the conversation get back on track where the country understands what the fluctuation is with gas prices and why we see the rate and the expense of gas go up at this time every year?
Well, because the speculators seem to get involved around this time every year. That's what this is about. We are a net exporter of oil now. We are developing more oil than we can use domestically, and we are exporting it. So if that's the case, then why is it increasing? We have to get the American people to understand that the speculators, many of whom ruined the housing market, and collapse the economy in this country, are now speculating on oil prices as well. And the extent to which we get people to understand that the speculators are driving these prices and not demand, I think we'll be in much better shape.
Congressman James Clyburn, sir, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Everybody stay with us. We're going to be back in just a moment.